The strange signal came on a Tuesday morning. For 3 days it repeated, the same pattern beaming from somewhere near Proxima Centauri. Scientists around the world dropped everything to study it. By Friday, they knew this was no natural phenomenon. This was a message. First contact with alien life had finally happened. The message was simple once decoded. Greetings, Earth. The Galactic Council welcomes you to the interstellar community. Prepare to receive our representatives. Across Earth, people celebrated in streets, gathered in homes, and stared at skies with new wonder. Humanity was not alone. The governments of Earth quickly formed a reception committee led by Ambassador Karen Miller, a calm and thoughtful diplomat with 20 years of international experience. Captain John Tanner of the United Earth Defense Force was chosen as military liaison, a decorated officer known for level thinking under pressure. They would be the first humans to officially represent Earth to alien life. The council ship arrived 2 weeks later, a gleaming silver craft that settled into orbit with impossible grace. From it came a smaller vessel that landed at the prepared site in Geneva. Karen and John stood at the front of the receiving line, hearts pounding as the ship's door opened with a soft hiss. The aliens who emerged looked almost like tall, slender humans with blue-tinted skin and large, almond-shaped eyes. They called themselves the Ardelians, representatives of the Galactic Council. The lead diplomat, Trell, spoke perfect English through a translation device. "We come to formally invite Earth to Council space," Trell said with a slight bow. "A ship has been prepared to take your representatives to our central station." News networks broadcast the historic meeting to every corner of Earth. Within days, Karen and John found themselves aboard the council ship, traveling faster than light toward Proxima Centauri. During the journey, Trell explained that the Galactic Council consisted of 27 advanced species who had governed the Milky Way for thousands of years. "We monitor developing worlds," Trell said carefully, "and extend invitations when species reach a certain technological threshold." Karen noticed something careful in Trell's words, a hesitation. "You reached this threshold more quickly than most," Trell added, eyes shifting slightly. The council station was a massive ring structure orbiting Proxima Centauri, large enough to house millions. As their ship docked, Karen felt a growing sense of unease. The welcome here felt colder than on Earth. Council representatives from various species gathered in a large chamber with high ceilings and strange symbols etched into walls. Most kept their distance from the humans. Karen and John were guided to stand in a circular area in the center, while council members took elevated seats around them. The council leader, a tall being with gray skin and 4 arms called Zelfax, spoke first. "Humans," the voice boomed through the chamber, "we have observed your kind for centuries. Your invitation to join galactic society comes with conditions." The atmosphere in the room changed. This was not the friendly welcome they had expected. The leader's tone hardened. "Your species develops weapons before wisdom. You fight among yourselves constantly. Your technological progress is unnaturally rapid, suggesting dangerous potential." Karen stepped forward. "With respect, we have made great progress toward peace. Earth is more united now than ever before." "Yet your history is soaked in blood," another council member interrupted. "And your primitive emotions make you unpredictable." John spoke up, his military training keeping his voice steady despite rising anger. "Every species must have had growing pains. We deserve the same chance others had to prove ourselves." Murmurs rippled through the council. Zelfax raised a hand for silence. "The council has voted. Earth must submit to authority, disarm its military forces, and accept supervision for 200 years. After this probationary period, your status will be reconsidered." Karen felt her heart sink. "And if we refuse these terms?" The leader's eyes narrowed. then Earth will face isolation from galactic society. No trade, no knowledge exchange, no protection from cosmic threats. You have 1 month to comply, or containment measures will begin. The vote count appeared on a large screen, 26 in favor of restrictions, 1 against. Karen looked around the chamber and noticed Trell sitting quietly, the lone dissenter. The council session ended abruptly. As guards escorted Karen and John to their quarters, Trell fell into step beside them in a quiet corridor. "I apologize for my colleagues," Trell whispered. "Not all of us agree with this approach." "They're treating us like children," John said through clenched teeth. "Or like threats to be controlled," Karen added. Trell looked around nervously before pressing a small device into Karen's hand. "This contains classified communications. The Council has done this before to other species. Some were contained, others effectively enslaved for their resources or unique biological traits." Karen closed her fingers around the device. "Why help us?" Trell's large eyes showed genuine concern. "Because the Council has forgotten its purpose. It was formed to guide, not to control. And because they underestimate your kind, that may be their greatest mistake." Before either human could respond, Trell quickly moved away as other council members approached. That night, Karen and John examined the device in the privacy of their quarters. It contained council records about other developing worlds, many, now serving as resource colonies under strict control. "They're not welcoming us," John said grimly. "They're deciding whether to cage us or use us." Karen nodded, her diplomatic training already forming possible responses. "We need to get this information back to Earth immediately." The journey home was tense and quiet. Both humans noticed they were watched more closely now, their access to the ship restricted. When they finally reached Earth, leaders from all nations gathered to hear the Council's terms. Karen and John presented both the official demands and Trell's secret information. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. They had 1 month to decide, submit to what amounted to galactic slavery, or face the unknown consequences of defiance. As the emergency session continued into the night, Karen found herself staring out a window at the stars. They had seemed so full of promise just weeks ago. Now they held a threat. But she had seen something important in that council chamber: fear. For all their advanced technology and power, the council feared humans. Perhaps, she thought, they were right to be afraid. Not because humans were violent monsters, but because they had never faced a species so determined to forge its own destiny. 1 month to prepare. 1 month before Earth would give its answer to the stars. The emergency summit in Geneva stretched into its 3rd day. Leaders from every nation sat around the massive oak table, faces drawn with worry. The Council's ultimatum hung over them like a storm cloud: submit or face containment. No one knew exactly what containment meant, but the secret files from Trell painted a grim picture. Admiral Diane Peterson stood at the front of the room, her uniform crisp despite the long hours. Her presentation showed images taken from Trell's device, displaying planets whose civilizations had been effectively enslaved by the Council. "Intelligence suggests the Council has done this at least 7 times before," she said, her voice steady. "They identify promising species, then either absorb them as second-class citizens or isolate them completely." President Lara Garcia of the United Earth Alliance rubbed her tired eyes. "What are our options? Can we fight back against a galactic power?" The room divided quickly. Some nations favored compliance, arguing that 200 years of supervision was better than destruction. Others insisted on resistance, claiming that freedom was worth any risk. Karen Miller watched the debate with growing concern. "We don't have enough information to make this decision," she finally said, silencing the room. We need to understand what we're truly facing. In a secured lab beneath the Geneva complex, computer scientist Alan Wright had been working non-stop on Trell's device. John Tanner stood behind him, watching lines of alien code scroll across multiple screens. "There's something hidden here," Alan muttered, fingers flying across his keyboard. "Deeper than the files they wanted us to find." After 18 straight hours, Alan broke through the final security layer. The room filled with holographic star maps and technical schematics. "My God," John whispered. The hidden data revealed the Council's true history. Not benevolent guardians, but systematic exploiters. They identified worlds with unique resources or abilities, then manufactured reasons to bring them under control. More importantly, the files contained detailed information about the Council's enforcement fleet, their weapons, shielding, and tactical weaknesses. "This changes everything," John said, already reaching for his secure phone to call the summit leaders. When the summit reconvened, the mood had shifted. Alan's discovery spread through the room like electricity. These weren't just files about past Council actions. This was tactical data they could use. President Garcia took the central podium, her decision made. "The Council expects us to either surrender or make a futile stand," she said, looking at each leader in turn. "We will do neither. We will show them something they've never seen before." Her voice strengthened. "Humanity will not surrender its sovereignty. We extend our hand in friendship to the galactic community, but we will not bow to intimidation." The vote was unanimous. Earth would resist. The next 3 weeks transformed the planet. Former enemies became allies overnight. Military resources combined under a unified command. Scientists around the world worked together in ways they never had before. Dr. Frank Sullivan led the technological response team. A brilliant physicist with a knack for weapons design, he found himself with unlimited resources and the brightest minds on the planet at his disposal. Using the technical data from Trell, they began adapting Earth's defensive systems. "The Council's ships use a quantum communication network," he explained to Admiral Peterson during a midnight briefing. "If we can disrupt that network, their coordination falls apart." In orbit, Earth's modest fleet of space vessels underwent rapid modifications. Experimental shield technology that had been deemed too power-hungry suddenly became the top priority. Weapon systems were recalibrated to target specific frequencies where Council ships appeared vulnerable. On the diplomatic front, Corinne worked tirelessly to establish contact with other species. Trell had provided access codes to secure communication channels. "There are others who disagree with the Council's methods," Corinne told the United Earth. "Security Council. If we can show them we're serious, they might support us." The Ardelians proved most sympathetic. As one of the younger Council races, they had faced similar treatment centuries ago. Through encrypted channels, they provided additional intelligence about Council movements and the locations of other subjugated species. "The Council believes you will either comply or make a symbolic but futile resistance," Trell told Corinne. During a late-night transmission, "They don't understand humans yet. And what do you understand about us?" Corinne asked. Trell's large eyes blinked slowly. "That you value freedom above safety. That you adapt faster than any species we've encountered. And that when threatened, you don't cower, you innovate." 4 days before the deadline, Earth's sensor network detected movement. A large fleet had entered the outer solar system, taking position beyond Mars' orbit. 120 warships, led by a massive command vessel twice the size of the others. John watched the tactical display with grim determination. Right on schedule. The fleet commander wasted no time. A transmission reached every communication device on Earth simultaneously. The alien who appeared had gray skin stretched tight over a skeletal face. 4 yellow eyes blinked in sequence. I am General Voxanar of the Galactic Council Enforcement Division, the alien announced. Your time for deliberation has ended. Submit to Council authority and prepare for the arrival of our supervision teams or face containment. You have 24 hours to respond. President Garcia sent Earth's official reply 6 hours later. It was short. The people of Earth decline. Your terms and propose instead mutual recognition and peaceful exchange between equals. Voxnar's response was immediate and furious. Primitives do not dictate terms to the Council. Prepare for containment. The enforcement fleet began moving toward Earth, but humanity wasn't sitting idle. Operation Trojan launched 12 hours before the deadline. While Karen led what appeared to be a last-minute diplomatic mission to negotiate surrender terms, a stealth craft carried John and a small team of specialists toward the Council flagship. Using cloaking technology provided by Trell, they bypassed the outer security perimeter. Remember, John told his team as they prepared to board, we need the command codes and network access. Nothing else matters. No one said what they were all thinking, that this mission was likely one way. On Earth, Dr. Sullivan watched the clock count down. The modified defense systems were ready, but untested against actual Council technology. The plan required precise timing and more than a little luck. The first shots of the war between Earth and the Galactic Council were now just hours away. John and his team moved silently through the dim corridors of the Council flagship. The Argelian cloaking technology kept them invisible to most sensors, but they still had to avoid direct contact with the crew. The ship was enormous, with ceilings 3 times human height to accommodate the various species that served the Council. Tech specialist Olivia Barnes consulted her modified tablet. Command center should be 2 levels up, she whispered. But security gets heavier from here. Meanwhile, on the diplomatic vessel, Karen maintained the pretense of last-minute negotiations. Her small team sat across from 3 Council representatives, none of whom were Voxanar himself. We are prepared to discuss modified terms. Karen sighed, keeping her voice humble and her eyes lowered. Perhaps a reduced supervision period? The lead Council negotiator, a thin being with translucent skin, looked bored. The terms are not negotiable. We merely discuss the method of implementation. Karen nodded meekly, checking her hidden watch. They needed to keep this charade going for at least another hour. Back on Earth, military forces worldwide stood at highest alert. The lunar base had been evacuated, its personnel relocated to hardened bunkers beneath the surface. In orbit, Earth's modest fleet of defensive satellites and armed ships looked pathetically small against the approaching Council. Armada. In the Geneva Command Center, Dr. Sullivan watched the tactical display with Admiral Peterson. Are you sure this will work? The Admiral asked, not for the first time. Sullivan adjusted his glasses. The theory is sound. Whether our implementation will function against their actual systems remains to be seen. On the Council flagship, John's team reached a maintenance shaft that would take them near the command center. As they climbed, Olivia whispered, "Something's not right. These security protocols are different from what Trell described." John frowned. "Can you bypass them?" "Yes, but it will take time, and it might trigger alerts." John considered their options. They couldn't abort now. Do it. We'll deal with whatever comes. While Olivia worked on the security system, another team member, Paul Rodriguez, accessed a data terminal. His eyes widened as he read the information. "Captain, you need to see this," he said urgently. John moved to the terminal and felt his blood run cold. The screen showed detailed plans, not just for containment of Earth, but for resource extraction operations and population control measures. "They're not planning to just isolate us," he said grimly. "They're planning to mine Earth for resources and use humans as labor." The implications were clear. This wasn't a peacekeeping mission. It was an invasion force. In the diplomatic vessel, Karen noticed the council representatives receiving updates through their communication devices. Their body language changed subtly. "Is there a problem?" she asked innocently. "No," the lead negotiator replied too quickly. "Let us continue discussing your surrender terms." On the flagship, Olivia finally broke through the security protocols. "I'm in," she announced. "And I found something else. There's a vulnerability in their command network. Just like Trell said, it looks like he secretly installed it himself." "Can you exploit it?" John asked. "Yes, but not from here. I need to access the main command node." That meant getting even. Closer to the heart of the ship. As they moved toward the command center, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. "We've been detected," John said, drawing his weapon. "New plan. We grab what we can and get out fast." The team rushed forward, abandoning stealth for speed. They reached a large data hub just outside the command center. While John and two others took defensive positions, Olivia and Paul frantically downloaded critical intelligence and command codes. Armed security forces converged on their position. The first attackers rounded the corner and John fired, his modified weapon cutting through. Their advanced armor. More security forces appeared from another corridor. Paul fell, hit by enemy fire. Another team member, Lisa Chun, was wounded but continued firing. "Got it," Olivia shouted, disconnecting her device from the system. "Everything we need." "Fall." "Back," John ordered. "Lisa, help me cover our retreat." In the ensuing firefight, 2 more team members were killed. John, Olivia, and a badly wounded Lisa managed to fight their way to an escape route. As they ran, an explosion rocked the ship. Their extraction team had arrived, creating a diversion by attacking one of the flagship's external sensor arrays. On the diplomatic vessel, the pretense of negotiations collapsed as the council representatives received word of the infiltration. "You deceived us," the lead negotiator snarled. "This will not be forgotten." Karen remained calm. "We simply explored all our options, as any sovereign species would." The council representatives stormed out, ordering their pilot to return to the flagship immediately. On the tactical channels, General Voxnar's furious voice boomed. "This treachery ends now. Begin the attack." The council fleet moved forward, weapons powering up. John's team barely reached their stealth craft as the flagship went into full battle readiness. Lisa didn't make it, sacrificing herself to hold off pursuers while John and Olivia escaped with the vital data. As they raced back toward Earth, they watched the first salvos from the Council fleet streak toward Earth's defenses. The lunar base was the first target, destroyed in seconds by concentrated fire. Several orbital platforms followed, shattering under the advanced weapons. Earth's conventional defenses returned fire, but their weapons seemed to barely dent the Council ship's shields. "We have to get this data to Sullivan," John said, looking at the one-sided battle with growing dread. "It's Earth's only chance." Their small craft pushed its engines to maximum, racing the destruction spreading behind them. From his flagship, General Voxnar watched with satisfaction as Earth's outer defenses crumbled. "Primitive weapons," he commented to his second-in-command. "They never had a chance." "Should we prepare landing forces, General?" the officer asked. Voxnar considered. "Not yet. First, we eliminate all military capability. Then we present terms of unconditional surrender." As the Council fleet moved closer to Earth, neither Voxnar nor his officers noticed that the humans weren't launching their remaining ships to meet the attack. They didn't realize that Earth's true defense was yet to be revealed. And they had no idea that the infiltration team had succeeded in their primary mission, giving Earth the key to fighting back. As John and Olivia's craft dodged debris and enemy fire on their desperate run to Earth, The first phase of the battle was ending. It looked like a decisive Council victory. But the war for Earth's freedom was just beginning. John and Olivia's small craft dodged another blast as they entered Earth's atmosphere. Behind them, the Council fleet continued its systematic destruction of Earth's orbital defenses. Their craft shuddered and smoked from a glancing hit, but the pilot kept it steady enough for a rough landing at the Geneva command bunker. Medics rushed to help them, while soldiers quickly unloaded the precious data. Despite burns and a broken arm, John refused treatment until he reached the command center. Admiral Peterson and Dr. Sullivan were waiting, their faces grim as they watched the battle unfold on large screens. "We got what we needed," John said, handing over the data device. "But we lost good people getting it." Sullivan immediately connected the device to his systems. "This is it," he confirmed after a quick scan. "The command network vulnerability and their complete battle plans." He looked up Admiral Peterson. "We can launch the countermeasure now." The Admiral nodded. "Do it. And may God help us all." In orbit, General Voxenar was pleased with the progress. Earth's defenses were crumbling exactly as predicted. The pathetic human weapons couldn't penetrate Council shields, and their primitive satellites were easy targets. "Begin the second phase," he ordered, targeting their ground-based military installations. His communications officer acknowledged the command and began relaying orders to the fleet. Then something unexpected happened. The officer frowned, tapping his console. "General, I'm having trouble reaching the forward units." More officers reported the same problem. Throughout the Council fleet, ship commanders found themselves unable to communicate with each other or the flagship. A carefully coordinated attack began to falter as each ship lost contact with command. On Earth, Sullivan watched his screens with intense focus. "The cyber attack is working," he announced. "Their command network is failing exactly where Trull's backdoor indicated it would." The virus they had uploaded through the vulnerability was spreading rapidly through the Council fleet systems, disrupting their quantum communications. Now came the moment of truth. Admiral Peterson gave the order, "Launch all remaining assets. Operation Thunderstrike is go." Around the world, hidden launch facilities opened. Earth's seemingly primitive fleet rose to meet the invaders. But these weren't the same vessels the Council had expected. As they approached the enemy ships, they suddenly activated advanced shield systems reverse-engineered from Trull's data. Captain Sam Rodriguez led the main assault group. His ship, previously considered outdated by Council standards, now glowed with energy fields that deflected incoming fire. "Remember the plan," he told his pilots. "Use their communication breakdown against them. Hit and run. Don't let them coordinate." The Earth fleet attacked with surprising effectiveness, their weapons calibrated to frequencies that could penetrate Council shields. Council ships, used to easy victories against less developed worlds, found themselves facing an opponent who understood their weaknesses. On the ground, another surprise awaited the Council forces. As their ships moved into position to target Earth's military bases, powerful EMP weapons activated from hidden locations. These weapons, based on Council technology but modified by Sullivan's team, sent focused pulses that disrupted the guidance systems of several Council vessels. 7 enemy ships, suddenly unable to maintain flight, crashed in unpopulated areas, where they were quickly surrounded by waiting Earth forces. Inside the Geneva Command Center, John watched the battle with amazement. "It's working," he said quietly. Earth's forces were not just surviving, but actually pushing back against the invaders. Sullivan nodded, his exhaustion momentarily forgotten. "The Council never expected us to adapt their own technology so quickly. They've never faced a species that learns at our rate." Admiral Peterson was already coordinating the next phase. "Captain Rodriguez, you are clear to attack the flagship." "Repeat, target the flagship." Sam's fleet regrouped and accelerated toward Voxanar's command vessel. The massive ship fired repeatedly, destroying 2 Earth vessels, but the rest pressed forward. Using maneuvers no Council tactician had seen before, they attacked from multiple angles, confusing the flagship's defense systems. Aboard his ship, Voxanar raged at his officers. How is this possible? They're primitives. His second-in-command looked genuinely frightened. General, we're receiving reports that several subjugated species are launching rebellions against Council outposts. The Argelians have openly declared support for Earth. The news struck like a physical blow. The Council's carefully maintained galactic order was unraveling because of this one defiant planet. Enough, Voxanar snarled. Prepare the gravitational disruptor. His officers exchanged alarmed glances. General, that weapon is forbidden by Council law. It could destabilize the planet's core. I don't care about Council law, Voxanar shouted. I want this world broken. As the officers reluctantly moved to obey, one of them stopped and placed his hand on his weapon. No, he said firmly. This is dishonorable. These humans have proven themselves worthy opponents. They deserve better than extinction. Others on the bridge nodded in agreement. Voxanar couldn't believe what he was hearing. This is mutiny. This is conscience, another officer replied. In the chaos that followed, Voxanar managed to fight his way to an escape pod. As alarms blared throughout the flagship, he launched toward the edge of the solar system, determined to reach Council space and return with an overwhelming force. On Earth, the command center erupted in cheers as they received the news. The flagship was under the control of officers who wanted to negotiate. Throughout the Council fleet, more commanders were standing down, impressed by Earth's resistance and disgusted by Voxanar's willingness to use forbidden weapons. Karen quickly organized a diplomatic team to meet with the new Council representatives. This isn't over yet, John warned as he watched Voxanar's escape pod on the tracking systems. If he reaches Council space, he could bring back a much larger fleet. Admiral Peterson nodded gravely. Then we don't let him reach Council space. She turned to her communications officer. Contact Captain Rodriguez. I need our fastest ship and our best crew. John stepped forward. I should lead this mission. I know how Voxanar thinks now. The Admiral looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. The Nova Interceptor is being prepared. You leave in 30 minutes. As John headed for the launch bay, Earth celebrated its first victory against the Council. The battle had been won, but the war for humanity's place among the stars was far from over. Voxanar was still out there, racing toward Council space with hatred in his heart. And the wider Council, once they learned of their fleet's defeat, might send an even greater force. But for the first time, the galaxy was seeing what humans could do when challenged. The Council had awakened something they never expected. Not just human fury, but human ingenuity. The Nova Interceptor cut through space like a silver arrow. It was Earth's fastest ship, built with a blend of human innovation and reverse-engineered Council technology. John stood on the bridge with his small crew of elite pilots and soldiers. Their mission was clear: catch General Voxanar before he could reach Council space and bring back reinforcements. The ship's navigator, Lily Martinez, studied her instruments with intense focus. His escape pod is following a direct route through the Kuiper Belt. He's heading for a damaged warp corridor near Pluto. Warp corridors were ancient pathways through space that allowed faster-than-light travel. The one near Pluto had been unstable for centuries, but it was Voxanar's only hope of reaching Council territory quickly. Can we intercept before he reaches it? John asked. Lily nodded. Yes, but it will be close. His pod is slower, but has a head start. John made his decision. Push the engines to maximum. We can't let him escape. Back on Earth, the situation. was rapidly evolving. The remaining Council ships had surrendered after their commanders learned of Voxnar-S attempt to use a forbidden weapon. Karen led the diplomatic team meeting with the senior Council officers who had mutinied against their general. "We have no desire to destroy your civilization," the new Council commander explained. "Many of us questioned Voxnar-S methods from the beginning." Karen saw an opportunity. Then perhaps this is a chance for change. Not just for Earth, but for all worlds under Council control. While Karen worked on diplomatic solutions, Dr. Sullivan and his team examined the captured Council vessels. The technology they found was centuries beyond Earth's development, but not incomprehensible. Their advantage wasn't superior minds, Sullivan told Admiral Peterson as they toured one of the crashed ships. It was simply more time to develop. Given enough years, we would have reached this point on our own. In deep space, the Nova Interceptor was gaining on Voxnar-S escape pod. "We've got him on visual," announced Communications Officer Ben Wilson. The main screen showed the small Council craft racing toward a shimmering distortion in space, the entrance to the warp corridor. "He's going to reach it before we can intercept," Lily warned. John considered their options. Direct weapons. Fire might destroy the pod completely, killing Voxnar before they could capture him. That would solve one problem, but create others. Earth needed Voxnar alive to understand the full extent of the Council's plans. "Change course," John ordered. "We're going into the corridor after him." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Unstable. WARP corridors were dangerous, capable of tearing ships apart or sending them to unknown regions of space. But no one questioned the order. The Nova Interceptor adjusted course and accelerated, entering the warp corridor mere seconds after Voxnar's pod. Inside the corridor, reality itself seemed to bend. Streaks of energy flashed past the ship as it hurtled through the twisted passage. Alarms blared as the ship's hull strained against the forces surrounding it. "His pod is taking damage," Lily reported, her voice tight with tension. "The corridor is more unstable than expected." John gripped his chair as the ship shuddered. Violently. "Stay with him. We can handle this." The Nova Interceptor had been built to withstand extreme conditions, its hull reinforced with experimental materials. Voxnar-S escape pod had no such advantages. Ahead of them, the pod tumbled as one of its engines failed. "He's dropping out of the corridor," Ben called out. "Some kind of asteroid field on the other side?" John made an instant decision. Follow him out. The transition back to normal space was jarring. The Nova Interceptor emerged into a dense field of asteroids, some as large as mountains. In the distance, they could see Voxnar's damaged pod weaving between the massive rocks. "Careful." "Approach," John ordered. "He's desperate and cornered." They followed the pod deeper into the asteroid field. Voxnar was a skilled pilot, but his damaged craft was becoming increasingly erratic. Finally, a glancing collision with a small asteroid sent the pod spinning toward a larger rock. Before impact, emergency thrusters fired, allowing for a rough but survivable crash landing. The Nova Interceptor set down nearby, and John led a team in environmental suits to secure their target. They found Voxnar injured but alive, trapped in the wreckage of his pod. His yellow eyes blazed with hatred as they approached. "You think you've won," he snarled as they secured him. "You know nothing of the Council's power." John looked down at the once fearsome general. "We know enough, and we're quick learners." On Earth, Karen's diplomatic efforts were bearing unexpected fruit. Many Council representatives, having witnessed humanity's determination and ingenuity, were reconsidering their position. "The old system has failed," admitted one elder Council member during a secure transmission. "Perhaps it is time for change." Karen proposed a radical solution, not revenge against the Council, but reformation. using evidence of council corruption and oppression gathered during the conflict. Earth and its new allies called for a galactic assembly where all spacefaring species would have equal representation. The idea spread quickly, finding support among many council members who had long been uncomfortable with the old hierarchy. 1 year later, representatives from 50 worlds gathered on the rebuilt council station orbiting Proxima Centauri. The massive chamber, once the exclusive domain of the 27 council species, now hosted a diverse gathering of galactic civilizations. Karen, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the stars, took her place at the signing table. Before her lay the Galactic Charter of Rights, a document guaranteeing sovereignty, fair trade, and mutual defense for all member worlds. As she signed her name on behalf of humanity, she felt the weight of the moment. Earth had not just survived. Its first contact with alien life, it had helped reshape galactic civilization. Across the chamber, she saw Trell watching with quiet satisfaction. The Ardelian had risked everything to help Earth, recognizing something in humans that even they hadn't fully understood. After the ceremony, Trell approached John, who now commanded Earth's growing defense fleet. "We didn't just need your strength to fight the Council," Trell said softly. "We needed your human perspective to reimagine what galactic civilization could be." John looked around at the diverse gathering, former enemies now working together. "What happened to Voxinar?" he asked. "He faces trial for his crimes," Trell replied. "But more importantly, the system that created him is being dismantled." In the years that followed, humanity took its place among the stars, not as subjects, but as equals and innovators. Earth's universities welcomed students from across the galaxy, while human creativity and determination spread throughout known space. The Council had challenged Earth, expecting submission or futile resistance. Instead, they had awakened human fury, not just to fight, but to build something better than what had existed before. As Karen looked out at the stars from the observation deck of the station, she remembered those tense days when Earth faced extinction. The path had been difficult and costly, but humanity had proven itself not just through strength of arms, but through strength of character. The galaxy would never be the same again. And perhaps, she thought with a smile, that was exactly what it needed.